BiomedRx Optimum Woman is the only woman's high-potency full-spectrum multiple vitamin supplement to contain 56 nutrients, including those most important for today's woman, such as calcium for bone health, iron for healthy red blood cells, beta-carotene, biotin for nail and hair health, gamma-linoleic acid from evening primrose oil, octasanol, grapeseed extract, a potent antioxidant important for maintaining capillary strength, and vegetarian digestive enzyme. Visit www.biomedrxsupplements.com.
Gold label quality BiomedRx CBD oil is made from organic hemp that is locally grown, glyphosate-free, gluten-free, non-GMO, homogenized, third-party tested, and CO2 extracted. Visit www.biomedrxcbd.com.
Hi, this is Devin Lockett, the president of JobSite Route. As the son of a general contractor, I know how difficult it can be to get good food on the job site. And letting your construction workers leave the job site to buy lunch just takes valuable time away from them being on the site. I've developed an app and a program that will bring a steady stream of food trucks to your job sites every month for the low price of only $100 per month per site. That comes up to about $3 per day to have a steady stream of food trucks coming to your job sites all day, every working day. You can also contact the food trucks ahead of time and pre-order your food from the menu on our app. This saves valuable time for your construction workers and for you. It also sends a variety of delicious food served on Southern California food trucks to your job sites all day. When you think about it, it only makes sense to join the JobSite Route Network.
Sunday. Happy weekend. I hope everybody's having a great weekend, and I hope everybody's enjoying themselves. Hope everybody's getting as much rest as I've been getting. This hasn't been a very physical weekend for me. I've been doing a lot of brain work, brain training, working on the gateway process. Those of you who follow my channel understand that the gateway is a group of a collection of audio files, binaural beat audio files that are designed to help you attain the out-of-body state. So I've been kind of working on that and neglecting the gym this weekend, but I'm going to get back into the gym, and I'm going to be busting my ass at the BiomedRx Health Center this week in with reference to holistic health and making these live videos. But I wanted to talk to you guys about a review. I saw it earlier. Shout out to I forgot the name of the channel. I'm going to post them in the comments below. Another channel, I saw another channel had posted this video, had done a reaction to this video. And I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with the author named Thomas Sowell. Thomas Sowell. He is a quite controversial author. He's a common sense conservative. He's a very controversial author, especially in this day and age. And, you know, I think what's really funny, especially with the advent of the Black American Party, this is a very important time in the political life of the United States, and it's a very important time in the political life of the Black American community. And this is a time of awakening of a pretty conservative mindset, a pretty conservative slant. I think a lot of Black Americans are waking up to the nonsense that we've been sold from the Democrats politically, and how detrimental and destructive that has become for our country and for our way of life. And the two camps, right, the left and the right, are pulling us in opposite directions. But the direction that the left has been pulling us in has been very destructive for us as men and for the families in our community, and for the community at large. So I think the popularity of Mr. Thomas Sowell is a reflection of a wave of conservatism, and I like to call it common sense conservatism, because it does not necessarily equate to believing in or supporting all of the or agreeing with all of the social points, the social talking points of the conservative community. But the basic premises and the basic understandings of the world and life play a large part in where we fall with reference to politics. And I think this movie, this little short illustrated video that we're about to watch, which is a synopsis of the book, A Conflict of Interest by Mr. Thomas Sowell, is very interesting in the way that it breaks down and explains the fundamental philosophical differences between people that place people on the left or the right of the political spectrum. Now, if at the end of seeing this you're not changed, oh yes, go ahead on and hit the like and subscribe and hit the bell for notifications of new videos and comment. Okay, you can also hit us up here on Cash App, BiomedRx TV, if you want to send me some money. Anyway, whether or not you stay on the left or the right, or your political ideology changes is irrelevant to me, as long as your political stance is an educated political stance. So I want you to kind of understand the roots, the radical roots of leftist and right-wing thought, and how we base our political decisions and our political positions upon these assumptions, these basic assumptions, these primaries, the things that the primary beliefs upon which we build other beliefs. So, without further ado, I'm going to take us to the other screen so that we can check this out. All right, here we go. I'm going to mute my mic so that there's no echo.
One of the curious things about political opinions is how often the same people line up on opposite sides of different issues. The issues themselves may have no intrinsic connection with each other. They may range from military spending to drug laws to monetary policy to education. Yet the same familiar faces can be found glaring at each other from opposite sides of the political fence again and again. That's how Thomas Sowell's book Conflict of Vision starts. Sowell argues the reason for this curious phenomenon is because both groups of people have fundamentally different assumptions about human nature and human abilities. These set of assumptions are rarely acknowledged or even recognized as influencing people's opinions on such a wide variety of issues. But once you understand the conflict of visions, you understand this ideological battle that has been raging for centuries. So, in order to understand this conflict of visions, we first need to understand what a vision is. A vision is a pre-analytic cognitive act. Well, no, scratch that. A vision is like your gut feeling of how the world works. Essentially, it's a set of assumptions about human nature and our capabilities. These set of assumptions give us simple formulas so that we can understand, or at least believe we understand, how the world works and why people do what they do. For example, let's say we have two people arguing about why we go to war with each other. You could get two completely different answers that stem from different visions. For example, person A might say, well, wars occur because people are people. We're greedy, lustful, and generally a pretty terrible bunch, and that's not going to change. Frankly, it's amazing we ever made it out of the savannah without murdering each other, trying to get to the other side of the continent first. Person B might respond with, no, you're wrong. People are inherently good and rational. War only occurs because we have these large institutions like organized religion and corporations and governments that end up creating paranoia, fear, or misunderstandings that override our reason and lead us to go to war. Both people are, ideally, trying to figure out how to prevent war, but you can see how their completely different visions or underlying assumptions of people are people versus people are good and rational would cause them to reach completely different conclusions about how to go about preventing war. This is the conflict of visions. It's a set of assumptions you have, often never thought about, that influence your thinking on how the world works and how to fix it. Since visions are so rarely examined but have such a profound impact, Sowell states that the purpose of his book is to think about them. Sowell describes what could be thought of as a spectrum for visions. On the one side of this vision spectrum is constrained, and on the other side is unconstrained. I personally think it's easier to look at the two sides as limited and unlimited, but he wouldn't call them that. In reality, visions can be anywhere on this spectrum. For example, Marxism is actually a hybrid of both visions, whereas fascism is in multiple places at once, it seems. But for ease of understanding, the spectrum of all possible visions is split up into two distinct groups to illustrate the differences. The goal for public policy people of either vision is usually to create the best outcome for society. The problem is the core assumptions are so different from each other that they never end up agreeing on the same way to get to the same destination. At the core of each vision is some belief about human nature. Essentially, what are people's ultimate potential? Both visions see the base or starting point of human nature as flawed and imperfect, that people are selfish and just barely smart enough to get by. The constrained vision doesn't see these factors as changing. It says our base nature will always be that of a self-centered, just smart enough person. The unconstrained vision sees the exact opposite. Yes, it says people start off by being just smart enough and self-centered, but we can change our human nature to be closer and closer to perfection. This is a critical difference in assumptions between the two visions. Everything else flows out like a logical ripple from here.
Now, this is a very good point to stop, because the question becomes, when you look at the people who are following the constrained philosophy or the constrained understanding of human potential versus the unconstrained, the people who favor the unconstrained view never really discuss how subjective their understanding of better is, or utopia is, or perfection is. You see, they want the world to march toward their particular subjective understanding of what a utopia is, or what a perfect world is. We're seeing that right now. We're seeing that taken to its full extent of ridiculousness, as we see people inventing hundreds of genders and trying to change the language that we speak on a daily basis, neologisms on a daily basis. And I'm not just talking about people's personal pronouns, deciding what terms and what words are offensive, what parts of the English language are no longer okay to use, and introducing ridiculous conventions and ways of communication that they're basically simply designed to confuse the populace and to throw everyone into a state of fight or flight, because you have to occupy your conscious mind, your critical faculty, so much in order to simply communicate with other human beings. But I digress. Let's continue.
Again, both visions believe human nature is flawed. The constrained vision sees human nature as unchanging, that we can try all we want to make people inherently unselfish or inherently smarter, but that's doomed for failure. This is in stark contrast to the unconstrained vision that sees human nature as capable of continuous improvement. Yes, we start out as being selfish and just smart enough, but we can learn to shed our selfishness and improve our intelligence. Alright, let's let this intellectual rubber meet the road of reality. In reality, we all want stuff. Stuff isn't actual stuff, like food, clothes, cars, etc. But also stuff that's harder to define. Things like justice, security, love. Furthermore, these wants, Sowell calls them desires, are unlimited. Once we get some shelter, we want more and better shelters. Perhaps even a home. Maybe our own private island one day. Once we get rid of the big injustices, we get angry at the smaller ones. We're selfish after all. The constrained vision recognizes that we have these unlimited desires, but we run into a problem because our human nature is so limited intellectually and morally that we can't get everything we want. Crucially, it also says that we won't tolerate these limitations on our desires, except when there are other powers that force us to. These other powers are called social processes. Social processes serve two primary roles. Firstly, they help to limit the amount of pain that we cause each other. For example, social processes are things like religion that say we shouldn't steal things from each other or else, or government that punishes us if we do steal. But social processes not only serve this restricting role, limiting the amount of pain that we cause each other, but also help to elevate us above our base nature and help to advance the human race. For example, prices in a free market economy are a social process that helps coordinate what people want or desire with what entrepreneurs will end up creating. Common languages give us the means to communicate to find solutions to complex problems. The cultural tradition of simple politeness helps everyday interactions be just more pleasant and enjoyable. Even things like moral traditions, cultural habits, aversions, attractions can all be social processes that help elevate us above our base nature. These social processes weren't designed by some philosopher king 2,000 years ago.
Right.
Rather, they grew out of the experiences, wisdom, and hard lessons learned of people over time.
This is a very important thing to understand, and I'm sorry for leaving the mic on. I know you were probably listening to a little bit of echo. This is a very important thing to understand. The dictates, those who rebel against society and those who rebel against the norms of society don't recognize that the norms of society, these conventions that are being discussed right here, are not the product of a patriarchal big brother or some, the man or some racist, sexist, homophobic, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant authority that has deemed it so. Patriarchy is not white patriarchy, it's simply patriarchy. It's the way human beings have interacted with each other between men and women since the beginning of time. For example, this is a very important distinction because people on the other side tend to view these conventions that have formed naturally as as something that was like the king over here that was just crossed out.
Each generation, in a sense, adds to this body of knowledge by their experiences and ends up discarding subconsciously or consciously what becomes outdated over time. Sometimes knowledge is passed down explicitly, like in the Ten Commandments. But even when this does happen, says the constrained vision, it's usually just someone writing down what everybody kind of already knows. They're in a sense just codifying what people already practice. So to sum up, the constrained vision has a pretty poor view of humans' ability to change our base nature. Essentially, we can't really. And since we have these unlimited desires, social processes, in a sense, make up the difference, helping to advance society and keep us from hurting each other more. Alright, enough of that. Let's see what the unconstrained vision has to say. The unconstrained vision sees things quite simply. Yes, it says, we have unlimited desires, but our human potential is limitless. By shedding our selfish nature and improving ourselves morally, we can freely accept any suffering we ourselves might feel if the outcome means a better society. And by increasing our intellectual power, we can figure out many solutions to our desires. All we need to do is compile all the relevant knowledge together and use our brain power to figure it out. Critically, to the unconstrained vision, knowledge is facts, figures, logical arguments, and anything that can be articulated rationally. Social processes, or the wisdom of the ages, or whatever the constrained vision wants to call it, is not knowledge. The goal is to get everyone to this intellectual and unselfish plane of existence eventually. But it's inevitable that some people are going to arrive here first. And when they do, they view it as their responsibility to use their intellectual abilities and unselfish moral nature to make the best decisions for these other people, the unwashed masses.
Sounds like the talented 10th, or kind of like a eugenics argument to me.
Since they don't understand what is best for them. And until such a time when they also can make the best decisions for themselves, they'll use their morally superior and intellectual superhuman ability to make decisions for them. You can see how that one difference earlier about the potential of man is already causing a major split between the two visions. The constrained vision believes it's human nature to have unlimited desires, but that our limited intelligence and selfishness keep us from being able to satisfy them all. So in order to cope with this limited base nature, humans have learned lessons over time from hard-won experience about what to do to best contain our dangerous and selfish impulses, but also constructively channel human energies towards creating ever higher levels of prosperity. These experiences become integrated into social processes like traditions and morals and crises, etc. The constrained vision views this experience as a form of knowledge. Even though it's not facts, figures, or logical arguments, it can be just as useful and even more so sometimes. It shouldn't be surprising, of course, that the unconstrained vision reaches the complete opposite conclusion. Of course our desires are unlimited, it says, but people can improve their intelligence and shed their unselfish nature. So, what we need to do is find the best solutions for society by 1, improving ourselves, and 2, compiling all the relevant facts, figures, and rationally finding a solution. Of course, it's inevitable that some people will reach this higher level of understanding before others, and until everyone is smart enough and morally committed enough to make the right decisions, these intellectual and morally superior pioneers will have to make the best decisions for everybody else.
Sounds pretty communist to me.
Critically, the unconstrained vision doesn't need social processes or the wisdom of the ages. If things cannot be justified rationally using specifically articulated reasons, then it shouldn't exist.
Sounds like an oligarchy.
Now it's easy to see how these different visions about men's ability can virtually predict the answer to any number of huge questions. Let's take the most basic of questions. Who should choose? Well, the constrained vision with its view that no one is really any smarter than anybody else, or that much more moral, says that everybody should be allowed to choose for themselves what is best. They could make their decision based off of their morality or spirituality, or they could just follow the money, or they could just follow tradition. It doesn't really matter how they end up deciding. What is important is that they're all contributing to these social processes which help advance society towards ever higher levels.
Freedom, in other words.
The unconstrained vision, with its view that human intelligence and moral potential is huge, says that anyone who's strengthened their mind to be an intellectual powerhouse and possesses the requisite moral commitment can effectively, unbiasedly reason out what is best. In reality, not everyone will reach this superior level of human all at once. So, the intellectual and moral elite should make the best decisions for everybody else who's either too dumb to understand or not morally committed enough.
I see a red flag there. I don't know about you.
Amusingly, you can also see how these different visions even affect the insults that different sides throw at each other. People with the constrained vision will often see the other side as truly being sincere about their desire to change the world, but they don't realize that they're being naive, that they're simply too inexperienced to understand that you're going against human nature and that your plan is simply never going to work. People with the unconstrained vision will often counter with accusations that those with the constrained vision are corrupt or dumb or clinging to outmoded ideas, because the only logical reasons for someone to disagree with them are 1, they're being paid off by somebody, or simply haven't morally committed themselves to finding the best solution, 2, aren't smart enough to see the truth, or 3, don't really realize that social processes aren't wisdom, but simply traditions that have been carried on that have no basis in reason, and if they can't be justified with reason, then they shouldn't exist. Hopefully this brief summary piqued your interest in the book, because this is really just the tip of the vision iceberg. I've only skimmed the surface of what Thomas Sowell goes over in this book. In addition, he goes into much greater detail on both visions, and even explains how words that we typically think only mean one thing, like freedom or justice, mean completely different things to both of the visions. So, if you like this summary, please go purchase the book from Amazon. If you use my Amazon affiliate link below, I get a little kickback, which helps me make more videos like this one. If you want to get notified when I post a new video, then go ahead and sign up for my email newsletter, and I'll send you an email when the new one comes out. Thanks.
Now, that was very, very interesting. I really have to say, I enjoyed that. Let's head back. Yes, thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you. So, yeah, here we are. That was Thomas Sowell. And I really appreciate you guys. Well, that wasn't Thomas Sowell. That was actually a very well-made cartoon illustration of the book written by Thomas Sowell. It was The Bomb. And so I really appreciate it. I'm learning more about Thomas Sowell. I'm reading more of his books here recently. I think he's a very wise author, and you know, I like what he's got to say. I like what he's got to say about a lot of things. Okay, I really do. So I just want to thank you. Information Show, how you doing, brother? Peace and respect. I really appreciate you watching and following the show, man. Let me know. You can inbox me at info@devinlockett.tv or locate me here on Facebook, man. Friend me on Facebook. Let me know when you want me to come on your show. I really appreciate it, man. So I'm going to keep on following Mr. Thomas Sowell. I really appreciate the wisdom that he has to offer, and I think a lot of what he's saying is really spot on about the origins of why we believe the things that we believe. And I think that this level of in-depth examination is something that's very valuable right now, especially to the Black American community in this particular political climate that we're living in right now. We are the swing vote in this country, and the decisions that we make, especially at the polls, have a huge effect on the quality of life that we all live as Americans. So this is a very interesting time for us politically. I think Black American men especially are coming to grips with the fact that we are a conservative people, and that we've been sold a kind of a weak bill of goods, being asked to join the people with the unconstrained mindset on the left. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you guys have a very restful Sunday night and a very productive week this week coming up. I want everyone, as always, to stay kind, because kind is not only the new sexy, kind is the only damn sexy. I want you to stay blessed and stay healthy. Subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Hit me up on Cash App, BiomedRx TV. You can follow on Patreon, patreon.com/Devin Lockett, and or patreon.com/BiomedRx TV. Have a wonderful evening. Peace.
Gold label quality BiomedRx CBD oil is made from organic hemp that is locally grown, glyphosate-free, gluten-free, non-GMO, homogenized, third-party tested, and CO2 extracted. Visit www.biomedrxcbd.com.
BiomedRx Optimum Woman is the only woman's high-potency full-spectrum multiple vitamin supplement to contain 56 nutrients, including those most important for today's woman, such as calcium for bone health, iron for healthy red blood cells, beta-carotene, biotin for nail and hair health, gamma-linoleic acid from evening primrose oil, octasanol, grapeseed extract, a potent antioxidant important for maintaining capillary strength, and vegetarian digestive enzymes. Visit www.biomedrxsupplements.com.